A very good morning, dear students. Welcome back for yet another session for class 10A, B, and C. And the subject that I'm doing is geography, and the chapter that I'm going to cover today is chapter 9, that is agriculture, cash crops. So let's begin with this chapter. Okay. So the cultivation of food crops is essential for our basic needs or survival. However, we also grow cash crops or commercial crops which enhances our life. Now, cash crops are those that are primarily grown for sale and not for use by the grower and his family. For example, sugarcane. Cash crops provides raw materials to agro-based industries. They provide money to the farmers not only to improve their living conditions but also to improve their family practice. So here cash crop is basically grown for the sale in the market, unlike the food crops which is mainly grown for consumption by the farmers themselves or the family members. But here the farmers basically grow these cash crops mainly for the sale in the market so that they can earn some money. So it is basically a commercial crop which is grown by the farmers. Okay. Now, as I just told you, the cash crops are basically provide money to the farmers. Then it also improves the living condition of the farmers. It improves the farming practices and so on. So the main cash crops now that we'll be seeing is number one, oil seeds, which basically comprise of groundnuts, mustard, etc. Then we have beverages like tea and coffee. Then we have fiber crops like jute, cotton and jute. And then we have other crops that includes sugarcane and rubber. So let us see now one by one the different cash crops that we'll be discussing today. The first one that we'll be discussing today is sugarcane. So let us see. Sugarcane is a tropical and semi-tropical crop of the grass family. It is a very hard, thick jointed stem which contains the cane sugar. The sugarcane stalk is divided into sections called internodes which are connected into joints called as nodes. Okay, so they are basically divided into sections called as internodes. If you look at the sugarcane stalk itself, you'll see different what to say sections called internodes, which are connected by joints called as nodes. It is grown, or it grows to a height of almost 2 to 3.5 meters. India has the largest area under sugarcane cultivation and has the second largest production in the world after Brazil. It is the main source of gur, khansari, and sugar. That means from the sugarcane juice, we basically make gur, khansari, and sugar that we consume. Now let's see the climatic conditions that's required for sugarcane. The first one we have here is the temperature. So it requires a temperature of almost 20 to 30 degrees centigrade. Very high and low temperature is harmful for the plants, and frost is injurious to the plant, and it requires a long season of 10 months to grow. So it takes a long time for it to grow. It should be frost free. Okay, and very high and very low temperature is also very harmful to the plant. The rainfall that is required is basically from ranging from 75 centimeters to 150 centimeters. It grows well in irrigated areas as it requires wet and dry conditions. So this is very important for the crop. It requires an irrigated area with wet and dry conditions. That is the rainfall that is required by sugarcane. Now if you see the soil, what type of soil is required by the plant sugarcane? Sugarcane grows on a wide variety of soil that can retain moisture, but deep, well-drained, rich loamy soil is ideal for its growth. Acidic or alkaline soil are harmful for the plants. We have alluvial soil, black soil, red soil, and laterite soil, which favors its growth. Therefore, practically sugarcane grows in all types of soil. black, red, alluvial and laterite soil. Besides these, cheap and abundant labor is also required for its cultivation. It's very important labor. Transportation is needed at the time of harvest as cut cane needs to be transported immediately to the sugar mills. This is very important, we have to keep in mind. Labor should be very cheap, and then what happens is transportation should be very easy, and therefore the distance traveled by the cut cane should not be very long as well, because what happens is the cane juice will start to dry up. So that is very important, we have to keep in mind. See, it needs a very short duration for its transportation so that the juice can be retained, otherwise the juice dries up. So that is the type of what to say soil required for the sugarcane plant, and also some important aspects we have to keep in mind. Now let's see the methods of sowing. The first one we have is let's see here. Sowing. Sugarcane is grown as a single crop. Before planting, land is prepared by plowing and some manure is also applied to the crop. Crop is planted just after winter season, and sowing is carried on three methods. That means we can basically cultivate this crop or plant in three ways. The first one we have is by seed. This is the old method, and it's rather outdated as well. See here, we just grow the crop starting from the seed method. The second one we have is called the set method. Now in this set method, what happens is uh, healthy straight sugarcane is cut into several pieces at the joints. The cuttings are called sets. They are planted horizontally in a well-prepared furrows at regular intervals. The plant starts to grow in 2 weeks. From each plant, 6 to 8 stalks grow. Soil should be fertile. Soil should be fertile, which is very important as well, and well irrigated as well. So this is the second method of sowing this crop or planting this crop. That is the set method. So you can just look there. See, it's cut into different sections and then planted horizontally in the ground. And from this, what happens? From these joints, what happens? We have plants sprouting up when new sugarcane plant starts to grow. So this method is called the set method. Okay. Then we have the third one, that is the Ratu method. Now this Ratu method, in this method, sugarcane is cut, leaving the roots intact in the soil. The ratoon in the sugarcane starts growing into a new plant. That means instead of uprooting the whole plant, in this process what happens? We cut the sugarcane, leaving some part of the plant and the roots intact in the soil. And then from there, a new plant starts to grow. That is the ratoon method. So in this second crop, ratoon crop is the second crop or any other succession crop. The field should be fertilized and irrigated as soon as possible. This is usually done this is usually done after the third crop, as old roots no longer give good yield. So here we have to keep in mind that in the Ratoon method, at the max, we can only have two, what to say, seasons of the what to say, plant growing. So this is usually not done after the third crop, because then the roots become old and then even the yield is not good. The juice is also very less. So until the third crop, yes, we can practice this method, but then after that, again, we have to start planting in a new, we have to start it right over again, either by the seed method, planting the seed, or either by the set method, or again, starting off with this process. So you can just have a look at this photo here, the ratoon method. We can see the plants growing, see, from the roots itself. Now let's see the harvesting of this crop. Sugarcane is ready for harvesting when it starts flowering and the leaves at the lower stem turn yellow. So here we have to keep in mind, the harvesting is basically done when the flowering starts and the leaves turn yellow. Before harvesting, another measure can also be taken. The fields may be fired to burn off dead leaves and get rid of pests from the fields. So before harvesting also, yes, this process is done. That means the fields are burnt so that the dead leaves are burned, and also it gets rid of pests from the field. The crop is then cut by hand. The cane is cut as near as possible to the ground because the greatest concentration of sugar is at the base of the cane. The season begins from October to November and continues till April. So when we cut the sugarcane, you have to keep in mind that the sugarcane is cut as close to the ground as possible because the content of sugar juice is more at the base than on the top. Now processing, let's see here. Processing should be done within 48 hours or the sucrose content will fail. That's why I told you, see, transportation cost should be, distance should be very short. If you have to travel for a long distance, what happens? The sugarcane content decreases, it dries up. So here it says, processing should be done within 48 hours from or the sucrose content will fail. Number two, since sugarcane loses its weight, transportation should be effective and cheap. 3. If the factory is close to the field, it will save time also. After extraction of sugarcane juice, it is then boiled without delay. Then lime is added to remove the impurities and for crystallization also. Of the total production, 50% is used for gur, 30% is used for making white sugar that we consume, and 20% is used for khansari, that is powdered gur. So this is how the processing takes place. Now let's see the byproducts. What do we get from the sugarcane plant? The first one we have is molasses. It is a dark brown syrup that drains during the manufacturing of sugar. It is used to produce industrial alcohol, rum, fertilizers, etc. Then we have the second one, that is bagasse. It is the crushed sugarcane after the juice has been extracted. It is used to make paper, fiber, boards, synthetic fibers, organic fertilizers, cattle feeds, fuels for mills. So these are the byproducts. These are the two byproducts. We have one more still to do. The first byproduct we have here is molasses. Second one we have is bagasse. So this is how the byproduct looks from after we extract sugarcane juice. Okay, that is molasses, the first one, and the second one we have is bagasse. Then the third one we have is press mud. Now this press mud is also another, yes, byproduct. It is the residue at the bottom and is used to make wax, shoe polish, and carbon paper. So this is the third byproduct of sugarcane. The areas of production, if you see, Uttar Pradesh is the largest producer of sugarcane. Other states are Bihar, Punjab, Odisha, Haryana, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. So this is somewhat we are talking about, that is press mud. This is the byproduct, the third byproduct of sugarcane crop. Now let's see the problems faced by the sugarcane cultivation in India. The first one that we have here is sugarcane is a soil exhausting crop. That means it makes the soil very poor. It is also a weight losing crop. Problems of irrigation facilities due to the canals being non-perennial. That means problems of water being supplied to the field because the canals are not perennial. There's no water throughout the canal in the canal throughout the year. So they are non-perennial, because of which there's shortage of water in the fields. Some farms are far from the factories, which results to the loss of the sucrose content. And most of the farms are small and uneconomical. And the price of sugarcane is based on weight rather than on quality. That means how much juice is there in the plant, that is given more importance rather than the quality. And the remedies for this, several fertilizer plants have been set up to meet the demands of the farmers. Multi-purpose projects and reservoirs have been constructed to ensure regular supply of water. Then we also have high yielding seeds and pesticides are being provided at lower rates to the farmers. Loans have been provided to farmers for construction of tube wells and for buying seeds. And then the fourth one we have is cooperative societies have been set up to provide support to the farmers. So these are some of the remedies that we have here for sugarcane plant. Okay, so the first one is that fertilizer plants have been set up to meet the demands of the farmers. Then multi-purpose projects have been built to supply continuous water. High-yielding varieties of seeds have been provided along with fertilizer, pesticides. Loans have been given to the farmers for the construction of tube wells and for buying good quality seeds. And then cooperative societies are also there, which helps uh, which helps the farmers or provides support to the farmers. So we can just have a look at the yes map here showing the different areas or different states producing sugarcane in our country. You can see there Uttar Pradesh, see, leading there. Then we have Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. See, these are the major growers of sugarcane. Now let us move ahead with the next one, that is the oil seeds. Okay, this is also another aspect we have to cover up, oil seeds. Now, oil seeds belong to an important group of commercial crops. Oil seeds are grown both in tropical and subtropical regions of our country. Being the leading producer of oilseed, it forms an important part of our economy. All types of oilseeds are grown except palm oil and olive oil. So that is there for this section. So we have all types of oilseeds grown except palm oil and olive oil. Okay. So let's see the economic importance of oilseeds now. The first one, vegetable oil extracted from oilseeds form an important part of Indian food. Okay, very important part of our Indian food. Extracted oil is also used as raw materials for making paints, varnishes, soaps, perfume, etc. Number three, oil cakes. Oil cakes, the residue that we get after the oil is extracted is used as cattle feed and manure. After we take the, yes, after we extract the oil, the residue that we get is basically used for cattle feed and manures. And then the oil industry employs millions of people and it is an important foreign exchange earner. So 5 important points we have to keep in mind why it is so very important in terms of economic aspects. Then types of oil seeds. Let's see the types of oil seeds we have here. The first one we have is, yes, edible oil seeds. They comprise basically groundnuts, sesame, rapeseed, mustard, and sunflower. And then the second one we have is non-edible seed, that is castor, linseeds are used for producing industrial oil and other products. So we do the first one, that is groundnuts. Okay. Now it is the most important, now we have to keep in mind here, it is the most important oil seeds of India, which is believed to be introduced by Brazil during the 16th century. It is a tropical crop and grows all over the peninsular plateau. It is both a kharif and a rabi crop grown in the north and south of our country. It is also called as monkey nut or peanut. So that's what we are talking about, the groundnuts. Okay, now what is the climatic conditions required for this groundnuts? Temperature grows well in areas having temperature ranging between 22 degrees centigrade and 28 degrees centigrade. Dry weather is needed during the time of ripening, and the rainfall here, it requires rainfall, having less rainfall, almost 50 to 75 centimeter rainfall is required for the crop, which should be well distributed. Since it is a drought resistant crop and grows in areas having less rainfall, that is 50 to 75 centimeters of rainfall, but which should be well distributed. So that is the rainfall and temperature required for groundnuts. The soil. So we can see here it grows best in sandy soil. It also grows in red soil and black soil as well. Methods of cultivation. Groundnuts are generally sown in June and July and harvested in 3 to 4 months. The pods grow underground, hence called groundnuts. As it fixes atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, it is also called a leguminous crop. So it basically rejuvenates the soil, enriches the soil. It is used as a rotation crop with millet or other crop due to this reason. So therefore, it always rejuvenates or enriches the soil. That is why it is grown as a rotation crop with millets and other crops as well. When the plant matures, flower appears and the flower pods bend downwards and enter into the ground and then they get matured. Okay, so that is about the sowing process. Now let's see the harvesting. Harvesting time is between October and December. Groundnuts are dug out from the ground and dried in the sun. Thus, a warm and dry winter season is needed during ripening. What are its uses? First one, it is used to extract cooking oil and used for manufacturing artificial leather, soap, requisites, and margarine. Number two, the residue left after the oil is extracted makes excellent cattle feed. And three, nuts are highly nutritious and are eaten raw or roasted. Now, the areas of production, where is it grown? India is the largest producer of groundnut, which grows almost mostly in the peninsular India. About 75% is concentrated in the states of Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. And Gujarat is the leading producer of groundnut in our country. So we can just see there. See, Gujarat having maximum production of groundnut, followed by Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Rajasthan, and so on. Now we go to the next one, that is rapeseed and mustard. That is sarson and rye. Okay, and let's see one by one here. They are rabi crops and mostly grown in rotation with wheat, gram, and barley. It is used extensively as cooking oil in northern India. Their growing period is 3 to 4 months and harvested when the leaves turn yellow just 1 week before the main crop, usually wheat. So this is a rabi crop mostly grown in rotation with wheat, gram, and barley. It is used extensively as cooking oil in the north. The growing period is from 3 to 4 months and harvested when the leaves turn yellow just 1 week before the main crop, whichever is grown there, which is usually wheat. The climatic conditions, if you see here, they grow well in temperatures which ranges from 10 to 20 degrees centigrade. Rainfall, about 50 to 100 centimeters of rainfall is required for this crop, and the soil, it grows well in alluvial soil. So this is the temperature that is required. Now let's see the uses of mustard. What is the plant used for? It contains about 25 to 45% of oil. It is mainly used for cooking and used for seasoning curries, pickles, and for making toilet articles. Its oil cake is used as an important cattle feed, which we just discussed a little earlier. It is also used as a manure. Besides cattle feed, it is also an excellent manure. And the leaves are used as vegetables, especially in Punjab and Uttar Pradesh. So, yes, the leaves turn out to be excellent vegetable, especially in Punjab and Uttar Pradesh. Now, areas of production, where is it grown mostly? India is the world's largest producer of rapeseed and mustard in the world. About 90% comes from Sutlej Ganga plain. The major producers are Uttar Pradesh, then we have Haryana, Rajasthan, Punjab. The other important growers are Assam, West Bengal, Odisha, Gujarat, Maharashtra. The largest mustard producing state is, if you can just see here, we have the largest, yes, the largest mustard producing state is basically Uttar Pradesh. Okay, please make a slight correction here. The largest mustard producing state is Uttar Pradesh. So we can just have a look at the regions where we have mustard and rapeseed grown in our country. So please keep that in mind. The last the one portion, please make a correction. The largest mustard producing state is basically Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so this brings the end to this session of this chapter. I would rather want to stop here so that the remaining portion we will continue in the next class. So till then, please do start studying or do your regular studies, and please make sure you do the questions from this chapter as well, or the previous chapters. The ICC previous year's questions are very important, and most importantly, I would like to remind you to please start doing your projects. All of you will have to do your projects and submit the projects as and when the school uh, fixes a date. So please make sure you start doing your projects. Till then, take care, be safe, and study well. Thank you so much.